Good evening and welcome to IITW Radio. It is 2:15 of 19. Hope everybody had a good Valentine's Day. And I have to give my little brother a shout out today. He's 53. Little brother, old man. Lester, happy birthday. I'll see you pretty soon. Okay, let's see. Tonight we got Tammy on the air with us. Hello, Tammy.
Hi.
You're looking all pretty, as Cletus would say, with all that makeup and stuff on. Your hair's all done up. Good God Almighty.
I got to do it once in a while.
Yeah, well, we have a special guest on tonight. Hello, Jolie. Before I get started, we need to give a shout out to the 5 officers that were wounded today. Actually, 6. The last one they said had a knee injury. And there was 5 people that wound up dead in Aurora. So I want to send our hearts and prayers out to those families. Hello, Melba. Send a shout out to the people that lost their lives today and also for the officers that were wounded. Also to my buddy Zach, who is an FHP guy. Where did my picture go? There it is. To Zach, one of my friends that's FHP. He was in an accident, and he's still going to be out for another few days. So, Zach, I hope you're feeling better. And Zach's a tough guy, though. I love the Florida Highway Patrol guys. He's actually going to be on the air with us sometime in March. A couple weeks into March. I don't know. He's still working. He's got to recover, though. He's got some neck issues going on from the wreck. So, Zach, I hope you're feeling better, buddy.
He does a lot for us.
Yeah, and tonight we have a special guest in the studio. We're going to be talking about, you guys and gals know how we feel about our volunteer fire departments. I mean, we feature them. We do water drives for them, food drives, snack drives, whatever they need. You know, if they're behind on their mortgages or whatever it is we can do to help them out, because these guys and gals only get paid, you know, between $4 and $8 a call. They really get screwed. So tonight we have Steven on the air with us. How you doing, Steven?
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
How come he got an applause and we didn't? That sucks.
Wow.
He's special.
Nobody loves us anymore, Tammy.
I know.
This guy, not special.
You volunteer, you're special.
Yeah. Hey, I volunteer. I'm not a firefighter, but all my family is.
I wore my shirt tonight, my old volunteer shirt, see?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Tammy was a firefighter for a few years.
Awesome.
Over in Tampa.
Tampa, right on.
Land of Lakes.
Land of Lakes. I grew up in Clearwater. So.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
What year were you over in Clearwater?
Up till 99, then we moved to Jacksonville.
Oh, he's in our old stomping grounds. Tammy lives in Tampa, and I lived over in Tampa, went to high school until I was 22, and I left to go to college.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So how long have you been a volunteer firefighter?
Volunteering now about 2.5 years. I've been working on the career side for about 13.
13?
And, I got on the volunteer side when I finally got a chance to move down here to Putnam County, making my home forever.
Well, that's good. We're glad to have you here. Melba said, thank you for your service.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And, thank you for all the support you guys give us daily. It goes a long way.
Yeah, we're waiting on a couple of other people to join in here. It'll start going like a ticker tape here in a second. People are still snoozing. But so why do you volunteer? And I like to ask the volunteer firefighters this because you never know what kind of answer you're going to get. It's damn sure not for the money.
No, and as funny as we didn't have a volunteer system where I used to live, and I've been around the volunteers in this area for a long time. But we really hadn't thought about that as soon as I moved here. And what brought me to want to consider, go full swing into the volunteer side was I had a really good friend of mine that passed away in my fire department. He was also a fellow firefighter. And with his passing, I kind of did a little inward digging and to my soul, and decided, maybe I can give back more to the community. And I figured I'd give volunteering a little bit of a shot. So,
well, if you ever decide to get out of volunteering, you got the radio voice for it.
No doubt. I always used to say that. Thanks.
I can see him now doing the morning show for us.
Well, 2 days off,
Hey, this is Steven.
No.
Jackie Banks says, happy Friday. Hello, Jackie.
Hey, Jackie.
I hope you guys had a good Valentine's Day. I did. Because I don't have a girlfriend or wife. I don't have to buy nobody squat. I'm happy about that.
We had a pretty good time yesterday, actually, at the the Magnolia Cafe. Yeah, they had the Valentine's special dinners. They were awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, so I take it you're married. Any kids?
Yes, sir. Have three kids. I've been married for about 13 years as well, and happily married. My wife's a school teacher. We're
Nice.
the stereotypical public service family, firefighter, teacher, and love it.
We really appreciate you.
Miss Debbie just joined in. Miss Debbie, call me in the morning because I do have tarps for you. I picked them up today. Also, if any of you guys and gals are needing tarps before I move on, you need to let me know because they're running out. If you had damage from Hurricane Irma, it's not going to cost you anything for them. I'm not going to give you any stinking tarps for your boats or your cars, so don't even call up for that. Or for your kids to be covered up or your dogs. Keep them in the house. But this is just for people with damage from Hurricane Irma. If you need them, if your roof's still leaking, we dropped off a bunch today. I had to go to St. Augustine and pick them up. But I do have some extra tarps if you need them. If you have not gotten in on that program, we'll go over it Monday night. And there's a program right there. You can call, what is it? 844-833-1010. 844-833-1010. Now, if your house is over 5 years old, I just need to give this real quick, Stephen. If your house is over 5 years old and you got more than $15,000 worth of damage to your house, they will come in and completely remove it and put you a brand new mobile home in there. If it's a brick and mortar, they're not going to come in and tear that out and put you a new mobile home in, but they will come in and gut the house, put a new roof on it, and also redo the whole thing. That's a pretty good deal. Okay, there's the number up there right now, Rebuild Florida. So, where you just put the number up there. Okay, that's, we talk a lot about the volunteer firefighters and stuff. Steven's joining us for you people that are just joining in. He's a volunteer here in Putnam County, correct?
Yes, sir. I'm actually over at San Mateo, Riverside, Station 19.
Uh-oh. He said the magic word, what the show is about tonight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some problems going on with that. Before I get into that, we talk about if you want to give your wife a shout out, you can go ahead and give her a shout out. Hey, honey.
Oh, hey, honey. Hey, married.
If you don't, for you ladies calling and asking if he's married, yes, he's very married, happily married. Yeah. Stay away. That's one of the main questions I get every time I get a firefighter on here, whether it's Casey or Sam or James. Do you know James up at 20? Or Casey?
No, don't believe so. I know a lot of the South End people.
Yeah, Casey's actually out of Station 6.
Okay.
They're all you guys are huge.
Oh, is Casey, is he a newer volunteer? Sam.
Yeah, Sam's chief down there.
Yep.
But no, Casey works there with him.
Okay.
Casey's just as crazy as James is about at 20. You guys are crazy. But how does this affect your wife and stuff? And your family. They got to know that you're in danger when you go out on these calls and stuff. That's got to be a pretty strong woman that's going to...
She is a very strong woman. I'm amazed that she stayed with me this long throughout my career, and the volunteer part to it, where you're literally sleeping in bed at home, and then you have to leave your family, and there's not as much, she knows a lot further on, earlier on in what's going on for that evening, what might be happening, and what I'm going to, I guess, trying to explain it that way. But when I'm at work, she hears about it all after the fact. When I'm volunteering, she knows right away what I'm going to, so that's a little more stressful. But when I'm gone for the 24-hour shift, it's like she's a single mom for an entire day, and she does that all on her own. So I'm really proud of her doing that all these years.
Now, does she have a police scanner that she listens to or a fire scanner while you're at?
No, we carry the volunteers carry pagers, and we carry a radio too. We don't have any extra equipment, but they do have an app that you can listen to. It's public. It's open to the public. It's a 911 app that you can find your local scanning channels with Putnam County, and you can listen to that all day long.
Yeah, I didn't know. I know I have one firefighter that I interviewed a couple of years ago, and he said his wife threw the radio out the window.
Oh my!
While they were driving down the road, because she said she couldn't take it anymore.
Shouldn't take it anymore.
No.
Some people, some relationships, it's been detrimental to over the years, and some people just can't. Families can't handle it. It sucks, but a lot of us keep doing it.
It's not easy.
You got any questions you want to ask him, Tammy, before I jump into the San Mateo thing?
I wanted to ask it. Does your wife get involved in any of the activities at the fire station, your volunteer station?
Not really yet. We're a pretty small department. There's other departments and historically there was a lot of family events there. Other departments still have a little bit of that family style environment, but not currently.
Okay.
Nope.
When I was volunteering, at the time I was volunteering, I was married, and we were both involved, and my son kind of grew up in that atmosphere. I was just curious.
Yeah, I bring my son by sometimes, and he, I kind of point and show things that go on around the station. He's been around a long time with my career side, so this is kind of a new thing to him too. But he kind of thinks it's cool because he's like, you have your whole own fire department yourself. Some days. So.
Yeah, it seems that way sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
I was just curious.
Hey, before we move on, Lee just joined us. Lee's one of our friends, Steve. And you want me to call you Steve or Steven?
Either way is fine. Either thing's fine. Steve. A lot of people in Putnam actually know me by Bob, and it's not funny, I guess, but it was a nickname I picked up from my last name being Barker. So if you say Bob Barker anywhere in Putnam County, that's been my alias for many years. So
we got to put a picture of my friend up. She's beautiful as all get out. This is my friend Lee. So,
Hi, Lee.
She owns a chainsaw and stuff. She says she's gonna come cut my vehicle up.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
I'm
you can take
so
her down.
glad I don't live up there.
That's scary. Oh, we got one of you. We can put up. We got a
I
picture.
know.
We got a picture of Tammy. We
I can
pop
do it
up
right
real
now
quick.
for you live if you want me.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. That's a different one.
Yeah, surprise. See, I hang on to all those pictures. Okay, we've got because we'll be running out of time here if we
There
keep
you
screwing
go.
around.
That's the one.
Uh-oh, I got angry faces from Lee. You know I love you, Lee. But you never come into the studio, and you've been promised me now for 2 years, just to make it fair. Let's just make it fair here, Lee, okay? I don't want you to feel bad. So this is what I'm going to do for you. Let's see. This is my crazy friend, Tammy.
Oh, I already showed that.
Oh, did you already put it up?
Yeah, he just showed it.
The one with the messed up face?
Yes.
I didn't even see it. I was
Yes.
busy reading comments. Okay, well, there you go. Okay, let's move along. San Mateo, you were in a meeting last week, correct?
Yeah, county commission meeting.
County commissioner meeting. You want to fill us in on how that went and what was going down? Well, you got talk a little bit before that.
Sure.
San Mateo has been a volunteer fire station for as long as I've been in Putnam County, for 21 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I never see anybody there.
That's been kind of the general consensus a lot of times. They had some very good years with staffing, and currently we're not. That's one of another reason that I'm here to kind of explain what that'll do and affect people in San Mateo tonight. And I'm not sure what else I can tell you as far as that.
Well, I know it hasn't been open for about a year and a half. Actually, since Irma, I haven't seen anybody there.
Probably
not that it's not open.
Post Irma, I had heard that there were some changes in people that were volunteering there, and they lost a lot of volunteers, and some of the core people stayed, but with the economy, they have one or two jobs, or working part-time, so they're having to work a lot of odd jobs, and they lost a lot of their core fire department that could go out and respond to calls, and also they lost their we have like a first response vehicle that they lost in that time frame, since it wasn't being used, and the county took it over to use for their supervisor vehicles. So since then, probably that last year and a half, we haven't had our main response vehicle for that department. We've only had our fire engine and our tanker.
So you don't have anything that has.
We have no quick response. Like you've probably seen them around here. They look like little pickup trucks with little booster tanks on the back and water. They look like a little miniature fire truck.
Right.
Yeah. So we don't currently have one of those.
Well, that sucks. Hello, Leslie. So basically, there's no fire department in San Mateo right now to speak of.
Besides myself and another gentleman, we're out of the few others that are still around. We're the two only most active in the department, and we've been able to respond to the last two out of the last three structure fire calls. But past that point, it's really hard to be able to plan out a day with only two people to continually have any kind of service to provide for the surrounding community. As you know, we do have other lives. We have to go to the grocery store and take care of our family and hang around the firehouse like you remember iconically or historically, like a lot of bigger volunteer fire departments had going on. Doesn't exist. It doesn't exist actually in a lot more than a few fire stations in Putnam County anymore. I've seen a huge change in the last 13 years that I've been here, with the amount of force, I guess, or amount of volunteers you would see at each station. But the paperwork makes it seem that there's a lot of volunteers still on the docket, and there's really not. If you go and look at most scenes and look or what do you call them, run reports, you can look for that kind of stat stuff. They've done not surveys but studies, and it's not really good when you really look at the whole strength of the volunteer system in Putnam County right now.
Yeah, Diane just joined in. For you guys that have just joined in, gals, this is Steven. He's a volunteer firefighter over San Mateo, and the place has been basically shut down since he's come on board the last, 2 months?
About a year.
Or about a year?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there's also a thing called the ISO ratings. You want to explain to people what that is?
Yeah,
I know.
It's actually called a fire ISO rating, and it's just a third-party private company that comes to jurisdictions, cities, counties, and they have a not an algorithm, but a set of guidelines that you have to follow, and with maintaining training reports, hydrant locations if you have them in your jurisdiction, the water flows, if they've been tested or inspected, how many people you have as far as manpower on your roster, what they're certified in, and all that equates. Oh, and length of time to response, or response times to calls, and on top of all that, and when you put that all together, they come up with a number system, 1 being the best you can ever get, and 10 being the worst you can ever get. 2 is actually very hard to get. There's less than 2% of the country in the United States fire service that have a 2. City Plaque is one of them. Palm Coast. There's a lot that goes into it. A lot of, like I said, a lot of paperwork. You have to really keep up with a lot of things, and that right now is kind of falling through the cracks in Putnam County, and it's starting to show in the form of ISO numbers.
Now, ISO on your ISO, that also affects people's insurance on their homes, correct?
Yeah.
So if you got a rating of 10, then you're going to be paying a lot higher insurance premiums than you would be if you had a 1 or 2 or 3.
Yes, and that's the whole reason they came. Are one of the main reasons that number exists. It kind of gives a baseline for the community's first response to fire department for fires, but it really can show the same for any kind of first response. We're not just a fire department anymore. We're medical technicians. We're first responders. We hazmat technicians, urban search and rescue. we do a gamut of things. We're not just a one person, one band show, I guess, anymore. There's a lot to learn. I'm still learning. I've got thousands of hours in training, and they come out with something new every week. But getting back to like what you said with the what it affects you as a homeowner, commercial, whatnot. The better the number, the lower your insurance premium. The worse the number is, the higher your insurance premium. To give that example, it's public knowledge now with San Mateo. I was talking to a neighbor prior to the commission meeting, and he said, I believe it was 2013, maybe 8, 2009, somewhere around there. They got an ISO of 5 for San Mateo, and that brought their insurance rating, their premiums down. And they were happy about that. And then after I explained to him that was no longer going to be the case, he was curious and wanted to come to the meeting and see what our commission was going to do about it. And I don't think he was really impressed so far. But well, I guess that's why I'm here.
Yeah. Angie, welcome to the show. Mark, welcome to the show. Mark said per NFPA 1710, you need 15 certified firefighters on the first alarm assignments. In my 6 years around here, I've never seen that even in the city of Palaca. On a GP fire, we may reach 15. On a target hazard, I'm sorry about this. My glasses, this screen's kind of blurry. A target hazard like that, you should have double. I agree, Mark. That fire that happened at GP, I was listening on my scanner, and I could hear it when you guys the boardwalk was collapsing and everything else, and these guys were just running crazy. But thank you for your service, Mark. And also you too, Stephen. There was a meeting last week.
Yeah, it was Tuesday. They have second Tuesday of every month, 9 a.m. They have a commission meeting, which would love to see some community support and getting that push to the evening. Nobody's off at 9 a.m. in the morning on a work week. I'm just fortunate enough to have a job where I have a few days off, and I can get in there on those days when they land or fall on that day.
Now I watched the meeting there, and you stood up and you gave about a 30-minute spill here.
Oh, just 5 minutes actually. Yeah, it felt like 30 minutes standing up there.
I'm just messing with you. You were up there, and you gave your spill, and then it was like crickets. And our district guy over here didn't say one word.
Well, yeah, a lot of them didn't say anything. I was really shocked because our district commissioner I've been in contact with emails. I've been talking about this ISO issue for and just lack of response in general for close to a year. And then when the end of the year came, so did the ISO number that was hurtful to the community. And I knew it was coming, and I tried to get out the word to our district commissioner that, hey, there's an issue here. And like I said, not really any kind of response from him. The only commissioner that I saw that really put all of what I put together and made sense of it. I'll just quote one thing he had said was he's heard a lot of talk about the ISO correlating with insurance premiums. And then he said, well, you can pay for your insurance or pay for your ISO rating. Either way, you're going to have to pay. I mean, and sadly, it's not just in money. It can be in, people's lives and, other large loss of collateral,
That's right.
Well, that's just it.
Valuables you'll never be able to replace again.
They're looking at it's numbers. It's a numbers game to our officials. Mm-hmm. It's always is. Lives, all lives matter. I don't care if it's black, purple, green, yellow, white. All lives matters, and especially with you guys. You guys are not racist. I've seen you guys rush in and rescue black babies, Chinese babies. I mean, little Indian babies. Different colors and creeds of people, and it doesn't matter to you guys. You're in there. And you can't tell who the person is because most of the time you guys are padded up pretty good, especially with the twins. I don't know if you know Jeff. the two twins,
Yeah.
they mess with me all the time. They screw with me all the time. But Mark was right. He said we need more paid and volunteers. But
Yeah, anything we can do, really. Just some kind of game plan. With what we have now, and volunteer and paid side, it's not enough. And I'm not here to like discredit any side in general. It just needs to be discussed. It's something real that's happening right now in our community, and that's really what it's all about. We have a community that's not being taken care of. There's not a good service being provided, whether it be the paid people or volunteer.
well, every second, every firefighter that I've ever talked to and first responder, every second matters. Every minute matters. The more minutes and seconds that go by, the harder it is to resuscitate somebody or pull them out of a house. And Satsuma Fire Department, I love them to death. East Plaque, I love them to death. All our volunteers. Mm-hmm. But for them to get from Satsuma to where you're at, that you could be there in 2 minutes, it takes them, 8, 10, 12 minutes, depending on where they're at.
When you go into cardiac arrest, we'll just take that as your worst case scenario. You're brain dead within 6 minutes.
Oh, I know.
Right.
I have to keep nitro around my neck all the time.
10-minute responses from other jurisdictions isn't adequate. It's not. It's not.
So, exactly what Mark said. He said the commissioners don't seem like they really care, and that's probably why Putnam County slipped backwards for the last 30 years. Angela just joined in. She said, I came in late. My apologies. Could you please explain what is currently being discussed? We're discussing, Stephen is one of the volunteer firefighters that's here in Putnam County, and the station that he works at in Angela is they don't have enough volunteers. They don't have jack squat. I mean, I've been down there. I've seen that. They need more volunteers. The ISO ratings, which is the insurance ratings, people's insurance is in San Mateo, who are already probably the poorest people in the county there and over in Hoodout Ridge. Their insurance costs them more. As a matter of fact, I talked to a few people this past week since I talked to you about this, and they can't even afford insurance on their house. So every second or minute that goes by, and like I say, they Satsuma, I mean, those guys are right there, but they, it takes them more minutes to get there. So, and I know there was a fire where 2 people almost burned to death here a couple of weeks ago, and one of the volunteers that was off duty, I believe, went in and rescued them. Did I get that wrong?
You talking about over in San Mateo?
Correct.
It was a paid personnel, and but he was by himself waiting for another person. We have one 24-hour fire engine that's here in Satsuma. That's only gone live in the last year. And then what we've had for a long time prior to that was 2 guys at 2 separate stations, East Palaca and Satsuma, and they worked 8 to 8, 12 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, so without any kind of break. I'm used to working a 24-hour shift and having 2 days off. There's really no break for them, but they were able to, like I said, go live to 24 here in Satsuma, and then East Palaca is still only 12 hours. But that 12-hour department was the first arriving on scene, and had minimal manpower. If it had been any worse, you might have actually seen something on the news about it.
Yeah, Mark wrote in. I'm trying to get some of these comments. If I don't get all your comments, guys and gals, I'm sorry. This thing's like a ticker tape. I'll catch a comment out the corner of my eye. You see me looking over like this, that's what I'm looking at. Mark wrote in and he said, the lack of a plan and information is one of the biggest problems. Most departments have 10-year master plans, but you can't get any kind of plan here. And then Sean wrote in, had later can't afford more pay. We need to step up and make what we have. We need radio systems over more pay. I guess you would probably agree with that.
The radio system's actually already been all acquisition, I guess you could say that word. The radio paging system, that's all been overhauled. We have a new state-of-the-art 911 dispatch center, and the radios are all on the way. So that's all been financially taken care of. Hopefully now we can, like I said, work on manpower in some form or fashion.
Yeah, that's what Mark said. He said
Yeah.
We need more certified firefighters, whether they're paid or volunteers. I don't really care.
Yeah.
And Angela, yes, it's the one off of, or Angie, yes, the one off. No, it's not the one off of Horse Landing. You're right before Horse Landing, the San Mateo department.
Yeah, we're near
correct?
Horse Landing, Gale Drive, actually. There's that station, and there's one off Kite Road. That's more of a backup station. But there's also a few other stations in the same mess that are also ISO 10.
Yeah. Hey, Aiden, I got to give Aiden a shout out. Aiden's my nephew. Says Mark says somebody's going to die. Mark my words. And she said, yes, I am on Sunglow Avenue. Our local fire department comes from East Palaca. And what does Pomona Park have? Pomona Park has
It's a combination. They have one gentleman who's on 24 hours. He's their supervisor for the EMS side, and then they have a fire truck with off and on volunteering.
Yeah, Doug said West Putman has the same problem. Floor Home is short on volunteers too. Our ISO caused my insurance to increase 35%.
I believe it. Yep.
And then Mark said a Polk County incident will happen here. Mark my words, people are going to die. And then Mark said we have more money than you think, Sean. It's the way it's spent. It's a big problem.
Well, like there's a plan I've heard that they're going to build 2 more fire stations. They're currently working on the number 2 over there in East Palaca off Cabbage Patch Drive, I believe it is.
Yeah, I just drove by that one today.
And it's taken them over 2 years to get it rolling. But the plan there is apparently to have four firemen like this one in Satsuma and another rescue, which we terribly need. We actually have another certificate of need. And what that is when a county has enough EMS transport happening, they'll have a new certificate pop up where either a private company can come in or the county can add on another ambulance to provide more service.
Yeah, we need one of our big car lots in Putnam County to donate you a truck over there in the fire department. Get you a Ford.
There you go. Yeah, quick, we have them. It's not uncommon. A lot of people do that.
Jessica just joined. What did Sean say? We need more ambulance and to stop trying units. What did he say?
Fallacy.
Oh, and fallacy transfers. The radio system. I get a lot of glare back in my glasses. I know people can see it.
Yeah, I can't really make the comment bigger.
Okay, yeah. The radio systems in the county is so outdated. My CB radio and my ham radio works countywide. Yet our current systems, sorry for the misspelling. No, that wasn't you. That was me. Mark said Melrose has a combination system of volunteers and 2 paid guys 24/7, and it works great.
Well, if anything, I mean, even if you could put 1 or 2 people, 2 paid guys in each station, and create some kind of accountability where you have 2 people that are going to have to report to the county. Right now, with the way the volunteer service is set up in Putnam County, the commission gives out money to the volunteer service to provide a service. There's all there is legally, I guess you could say, is a silent nod from the commission to the volunteers to provide a service, and there's nothing directly that says they have to do this for the county. It's I don't really know the word what to really call it, but legally it still falls back on the commission, I guess is where I'm getting at. And I actually talked to the volunteer state of Florida volunteer fire coordinator, and he's over there in Ocala at the Florida State Fire College, and he said, yeah, the commission is 100% liable for anything that happens on the volunteer side, including the any kind of negligence that happens because we're not keeping people up to date with training and responding to calls and whatnot. It's just it all gets cast to the side right now, and it's not being not looked into, but just kept up with. There's no supervision. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when I watched this meeting the other day, like I said, after you got done speaking, it was like stinking crickets. I didn't hear the guy Terry from your district say one stinking word. You know, I did hear Rawls say some stuff, and I got to tell you, I like this Rawls guy. I've never met him before, but you know, the guy
he has a background in the medical side or fire department side.
Well, the guy has some cojones too. He seems to be standing up to everybody else, and he's not afraid. You know, I like this guy. Like I say, I've never met him. I've never talked to him on the phone. Never been out partying or drinking, or I don't drink, but I've never had a Mountain Dew with the guy. I've never ate lunch with him. I don't even know him.
Well, regardless of the topic, he at least has something to. He at least tries to debate about it. He has some kind of thought on the topic at hand, and doesn't just give you a thank you for your time and that's that.
He at least offered to put together a
right.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Resolution.
People to get together and talk about it.
Oh, they
Citizens Advisory Committee, I think is what he said.
Yeah, people could have had a defense, and they could have defended that argument I had. They could have said I was completely wrong.
Right.
I didn't hear that at all.
I didn't hear that at all. And if there is some kind of plan, please fill me in. Please fill the citizens in. Give us some more transparency on what's going on. Let us know that something better is coming our way for us. And there's so much economic potential that we're missing out on. Risk assessment teams for businesses, they'll look for somewhere else to go where it's a lot cheaper to make sure their insurance doesn't go through the roof.
Definitely.
I believe it was the Walmart distribution center down in Crescent City was going to put over $1 million into infrastructure to the area, including the fire service. So they were planning ahead to help provide some kind of service that was going to be necessary for them to be a business there. We lost out on that opportunity, but that stuff really happens. Businesses do look into what kind of services are provided before they decide to
absolutely
be a part of your community.
Absolutely. Stephen, do you know if there's any kind of a tax or any money that's earmarked specifically for the volunteer service?
There is. There's the fire assessment. It is in the Avalorum side, and I'm terrible with numbers. I believe someone told me it's like 1% of your total tax Avalorum, your millage, I guess you could call it, and that 1% goes to the fire service side to fund those departments. We have
the paid service or the volunteer service?
The volunteer side, and it also includes now some of what they're paying for the paid side.
We have a bunch of people on here saying that the county needs to get more grants and stuff out. And people are right now writing in and asking, that was what I was getting ready to. Martha and a few other people are writing in saying, who do we need to blow up their phones to get this done? That would be your county commissioners.
Yeah, whoever's your district commissioner, it's really easy to go on the Putnam, Florida. I'm not terrible with addresses. If you could throw one up, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll find one and put it up here in just a second.
They have every county commission meeting on there and on the YouTube channel. Follow that. Look, see what they're talking about every week. You'd be really surprised about what kind of money they're putting in other places while we sit here scratching our head about the fire service. Yeah,
the Kayvon wrote in and said the commissioner gives a silent nod to PCFR, who makes their own decisions on funding, unlike every other combination county around the BOCC can oversee budgets distributions. Now, I got to say something about this, because the one thing that pisses me off more than anything, and what usually I do a show on Friday nights, what's called What's Pissing Me Off. And the one thing that pisses me off is when the men and women are volunteer firefighters, you guys make $4, $8 a call. By the time you go out there and do your job and get back to your families, you piss that away and get fuel. Or if you've got to stop and get bottled water or snacks or anything like that. One thing that pisses me off, people have in whether it's the state or local, they have the ability to give the volunteer firefighters different breaks on things. Write the taxes off on your property taxes. And this is something I'm going up to Tallahassee to talk to our new governor about next week, or 2 weeks from now, is that you guys and gals should get your property taxes written off, for one. I mean, that's the least they can do. Most of the property taxes around here are $300-400, a year. If they don't write your taxes off, at least cut you a check, if you're a renter, for that $300 to $500. Also, to incorporate some type of daycare, so that when you're out covering fires during the day, that your wife can at least take a freaking break or something, and it wouldn't cost that much. And they have. We're going to put up the county commissioners that you guys can call. Rick Surns, he's not in that. He's school board. I like Rick. I don't want to put him up. But the county commissioners of District 1. Bill Pickens, I like Bill Pickens. I like most of our county commissioners. Terry Turner, never gotten a call back from the guy. I've had to call Bill Pickens to have him do some stuff in Turner's district. He didn't actually do it, but he went ahead and got it checked out for me. Larry Harvey, I like Larry. Larry's helped me on a few problems that's been around. The rest of them, never really talked to them. I can call up there and ask for them to call me. Guess what? I get nothing but crickets.
Yep.
But Larry's always called me back. Bill Pickens has always called me back. But that's about it. And I've left messages for all you county commissioners, so don't. And I'm not jumping your ass here, but you don't return calls. I've got hundreds and hundreds of people that say that. They say the only two they ever hear from is Bill Pickens and Larry Harvey. And I think it's wrong. And I know you guys are listening tonight. Do these firefighters right. When we got a guy like Steven comes up there and says, "Hey, we got a problem here," don't go freaking silent. Set up a thing. Say, "Okay, let's get something done about it." Right now, we can do it right now. Let's stop the meeting, whatever we got going on. That's what you're paid to freaking do. And then just listen to the man. Not crickets. Hey, yeah, here's what we can do. Let us work on it, but not one freaking word. Crickets. I mean, we need to get a freaking cricket button on here so I can push it every time I talk about it. I know we have one. We got other stuff in place of it, but it's stinking crickets. And it's like that with all the first responder stuff, but mainly the volunteers. Hey, do you guys and gals not realize that these guys and gals bust their asses? They're out there. I've seen them run up. Who was it that was talking to or having their daughter's birthday party? I think it was Casey, one of his kids' birthday party, and he had to jump up and run out before they even got to light the cake. And then he was on a call on an accident up in front of Cheyenne Saloon. He was there for 6 hours. His daughter's birthday was already over by the time he got back for $4. And then right after that, he had another call he had to go on. You remember that night, Tammy? Yep. And then the day there was 6 wrecks going on all at the same time. These poor guys and gals didn't even get a break the whole freaking night.
And they do this because they, out of the goodness of their hearts, not because they love jumping up and leaving their families' celebrations and holidays and dinners and all that kind of stuff. It's because they have a love for the community.
I do
and
too,
these
but
people, you guys that are in the county commission, you wanted to be in these seats, you wanted to be in these positions. Now you need to do the things that you promised the communities you were going to do.
Oh, I heard one of them say one time, and it was before this group of county commissioners. Oh, I inherited this stuff, so back off me. No, you didn't. You didn't inherit it. You campaigned for it. You paid for it. You put money out there that, hey, we're going to do a job and we're going to make a freaking difference, and then it doesn't ever get done. That's bullcrap. But we can pay other people $30,000 to come in and tell us how to run the county, but we can't take $30,000 or $40,000. We could put up a lighthouse or a clock tower for so many thousands of dollars, and then tear the son of a bitch down for so many thousands of dollars. But instead of doing that, why don't you take and give our volunteers a freaking raise? Get them a damn truck.
One paid fireman's $36,000. I mean, in the long run, even if you went that direction, what's $36,000 to give somebody a job? They can put back in the community some money, right? Stimulate the economy. It's a steady job. It takes them off that. I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed this volunteering stuff, since I picked it up, but it's way more stressful than just going to work for 24 hours because you know what you're doing that day. You come in, you clock in, you clock out. When you go home and you're just in your community as a volunteer, you don't know what the heck's going on that day. You might have plans to go do something else, and then you gotta, change all that up, and doesn't always go real well over with family.
You know what gives me an inner ass itch more than anything, though, is that I'm sorry, I start getting carried away. I get a little too passionate about you guys, but the fact that not only do you get $4 to $8 on a call, but then they turn around and tax you on that freaking money.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, here's $8. Well, we're going to take 40% out of it.
My tax return went down a little bit when I added that.
Your incentive pay.
Yeah, 10W or W2 or whatever, W4. Yeah, W2. When I added that to my tax return, it went down a little bit from adding that.
But you know what? There's going to come a day, and I don't blame people for not wanting to volunteer. I mean, who's going to want? Oh yeah, let's go make some money volunteering at $4 an hour. Hell, I can go pick up beer cans and make more than that in an hour.
There's a lot of training that's involved in it, and to do that completely out of the kindness of your heart for $8 an hour or $8 a call, that's pretty huge if you go the full distance. I mean, on the paid side, there's over 283, almost 300 hours per certification to be able to go interior on a fire. In the state of Florida, you're allowed to, as a volunteer, if you're taught just the basic runabout, pulling a hose off a truck and squirting water on the outside of a house, that's completely legal just to do that if you've just been shown that a few times and then documented as training. But in the state of Florida, you have to have a certification of a Fire 1 to go interior into the home. So if you think about it, if you don't have enough trained volunteers with at least a Fire 1 cert, they're not going into your house when you're down and that house is burning. They don't have the training or the legality to do so, if they even try. But it's pretty wild that people don't know that.
Yeah, Peter wrote in and said, the sad thing is that it's all about the money, not saving lives, and it shouldn't even be speaking like that. But I see it day in and day out, and I'm pretty sure Peter's a firefighter. Thank you for your service, Peter. And Kayvon wrote, and thank you for your service too, Kayvon. Alachua County has to justify and negotiate contract fire stations. Putman doesn't, and look at the difference.
I mean, it's pretty wild. What do you think about, like, what if you had a volunteer police department that didn't show up to a gunshot call or burglary in progress? Wouldn't the community be pretty pissed and try to figure out what's wrong with the volunteer police department?
Oh, they are today. There was a sheriff up in Kentucky,
right?
And he told his people, he said, "There's no money. Lock your doors and arm yourselves."
Yeah,
because they're going to come for you, and we're not going to be there.
There's been extrication calls in this county and fires and whatnot with zero response from departments, and there's no community uproar. There's no one. There's some of it's smoke and mirror, but you just don't really understand that it happened that way because nobody on the county side looked at the entire call and then brought that to the community's attention.
Yeah, Kayvon wrote, and in the $1 million upspent in the fire budget, you could contract 4 stations at $255K a year, more than enough to put 2 men in each station. And Mark wrote, disclaimer, Mark is speaking as a citizen, and my views or opinions does not reflect the position of Melrose volunteer firefighter or for home firefighters. We understand that. And he said, I'm an angry citizen, taxpayer, but I also volunteer and work as a paid guy. And Angela wrote, my sister and her husband are volunteer firefighters in Putnam County. They do it because they're passionate about the people and about our community and the difference that they make in their lives to others. That's exactly it. You guys and gals go out there and you run out there and you bust your asses, and then it's got to be awful depressing when you get into one of these meetings and then there's crickets. I mean, there's not even any response.
Right.
I mean, that's got to make you feel like it's not worth it.
Right.
But what if all the volunteers? Let me ask my audience this, and we have the best audience of any radio station in the United States, and they always come together. I mean, we collected 150,000 bottles of water last year for our volunteer firefighters, so we have the best listeners and stuff. Let me ask our elected officials, how would you feel tomorrow if they said piss on you and you were in a wreck? Because the ambulance driver ain't going to do it for you. The sheriff's department's not going to do it for you. How are you going to feel when you come out? You might as well get an economy colonoscopy where they're going to shove a hamster up your ass with a GoPro helmet on it, because that's going to be a lot better than what you're going to get if they ever decide they're sick and tired of it. They're not going to do it anymore. And when these guys and gals walk off the job, and I have seen it across the United States as well as you have, Tammy, and I'm sure you have too, Stephen, is that some of the firefighters, and look at the amount of volunteers that are not there anymore. It's because of what that is happening to them.
Well, that's exactly it has happened. I mean, a level ISO 10 means you don't have a minimum of 4 certified firefighters in your fire department. There's literally just me at my fire station right now.
Yeah.
But I'll also just let everyone know too that I do come from the firefighter background, but this is hugely pisses me off just as a citizen. This is where I'm really focusing a lot of my effort.
Yeah, Joshua made a good point. He said, all I can say is fighting fires with a skeleton crew is dangerous, and we get tired. Volunteers need to be supplemented with 24/7 guys. You're absolutely right. I've seen these guys and gals out there dragging their asses because they were on a fire for 4 and 5 hours.
There's guys, you know, you're really only supposed to be burning maybe 1 bottle on a fire, and then maybe a little bit of it on an overhaul. There's guys day in day out here that are burning 2 or 3 bottles minimum to get the job done. And that's just physically unacceptable, and you know, this is crazy.
Well, most firefighters die from heart attack or stroke.
Yep, that's their number 1 killer.
That's the number 1 killer in volunteers.
Next to cancer.
And
It's
I mean, how
the
is
number 1 killer across the board, whether they're volunteers or whether they're career firefighters? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, firefighters are the number 1 is, you know, volunteer, like you say, paid or volunteers, is they're either going to die of a heart attack or stroke. I mean, the fires, these guys and gals know what they're doing. They're not going to get burned to death. They're going to have a heart attack and drop over right there. And I can tell you that from experience. And from you see me nitro hanging around my chest. Heart attacks suck. And, you know, when you drop over, it is the scariest thing in the world. But let me ask our elected officials this. Is it important where you live? And I bet you, and I'd be willing to bet a pound of pig balls to a bull to a banjo, that where our elected officials live, that they don't have 2 paid firefighters or 2 volunteers in their area. You know, if they did, I guarantee they would have 4 or 5, and they would have a ISO rating of at least 4 or 5.
Oh, they've been told, and they've told me that another station being built 2 more miles away from where they live is acceptable. They're gonna have a fire station not within the 5-mile radius that they should have, but over 6 miles. And the one that I think it just kind of still tickles me that they're building this fire station out on 207 for East Palaca. Those potato farms are much more have much more adequate fire protection than someone in San Mateo on the river, with $1 million house. It just they have all these well wishes, that all these plans they got that are going to happen out there on 207, and we're going to be like St. Johns County, and at the same time they're completely forgetting about the people already here that pay the taxes, that take want a fire service for themselves.
Brian wrote in. He said, "I know Brian. How you doing, Brian? I thank you for your service, Brian. As always." Brian said, "Let's address the ambulance response times." He said the fire response times, or this is from Garrett. Fire response times are the same. They have 2 seconds in third page systems at all times with no response.
Historically, there used what we call a second alarm, or two alarm fire. You would only need about a 2 alarm fire response, and you would have 2 fire stations in that district, or those districts respond to a structure fire, and most on average now require at least 3 alarm. Most recently you had one over there in Hollister. That fire took over a 2 alarm fire to get anyone at enough adequate help there.
Yeah,
So
Mark said.
Put the rest of it out.
Mark said if we all get together, we can affect a positive change.
Yeah.
And
it's going to take the community. The fire side, we can only beat our chests so much on this.
Mm-hmm.
We need people out there listening to this, and that can pass along this message that, you're not you're not being justified by the level service that's happening out there in the community right now.
Yeah, Brian put the fire response is only the tip of the iceberg. ISO is a for-profit corporation. I got to agree with you on that. I know that.
Yeah,
You know,
they are.
the ISO
I'd
people.
like to.
It is,
To
but it
say
also
something.
at least gives a good general baseline of what can you know, a lot of it is smoke and mirror. Like, I bet you could go out to most of these places that have pretty good ISO numbers and that not really be true. It's very easy to pad a lot of that stuff. They don't do you know, completely fine tune comb tooth every little bit of information that they're given, but it at least has a good start to giving what actually might be an issue. When you get like a 10, there's an issue. When, you know, 5, 6, 7, you know, you're trying to get down to a 3 or 4. Yeah, there is some pretty screw loose, you know, guidelines that sometimes can't get you down there. But when you get to a 10, the state of Florida should be getting involved in this. I'm really surprised that there's no state auditing system that provides a you know, a look in from the state level. You know, when a firefighter dies, the state comes in and asks that county or city, why did that firefighter die? There's no one coming in and really combing over when a civilian dies in a house, why that level of service was inadequate.
Yeah, Desiree said more firefighters and rescuers commit suicide every year because of the stuff we see and deal with, some of which is truly heartbreaking. Yeah, we had a volunteer or a firefighter over in East Palaca, and I'm not going to mention his name, that committed suicide. And I know what the whole story was on that, and I saw that, and you know, the stuff you guys are, you know, you see a lot more stuff than, you know, if the police show up, they get to see a little bit of it quick. But they, you know, you guys are there. Normally you beat the cops there. The stuff that I've seen just from reporting now for 40 plus years, I can't get out of my mind. And the stuff that you guys see is even worse, because after I'm, you know, have to step back, then you guys are the ones that cut them out, and you get to see the gore and stuff and the little kids that's mangled and stuff. You know, I get to see a small portion of it. And you know, that sucks for you guys.
The best way to move forward with a lot of that stuff is we have the fancy word's a critical incident debriefing session or whatever. But it's just we all sit around and talk about it. We'll talk about it for years. Some people truly never get over a lot of things they see, but if you stay connected as a family within the fire service, and you know, ask you know, that never hurts to say, hey man, how's your day going? And you know, you can tell when somebody's having a bad day. And just like I said, communication and talking all the time on a family level, that keeps a lot of us together. But yeah, the gentleman you just mentioned, that was the person I was explaining about earlier that brought me into the volunteer world. You know, made me think I needed to do a little bit more.
Yeah, Brian said that, Travis, we also need to bring up the ambulance service in the county. The rescue in Satsuma was in Lake Estates today, running a call out there. I agree with you. I hear that all the time, Brian. They don't have enough ambulances.
They're having an issue right now. I can explain that a little bit. They do a lot of out of county transfers for the hospital, and a lot of times they're not an emergency, truly an emergency at that moment, but they need a higher level of care. So they have to be transported to somewhere like Shands, Gainesville, or the VA, or Jacksonville, you know, Wolfson.
But we don't really have a hospital here. We have a medical center.
We do, yeah, and it's actually improved quite. You know, people laugh when I say that it's improved, but it has a ton of improvement over last 3 or 4 years. They have a new group running the place.
Yeah,
and I you know, unfortunately had to take one of my daughters there last year when we moved down here. Finally, and she had a bad allergic reaction, and we went in one of the ER rooms, and they had these new time awaiting, you know, for your doctor and where you're at in the process. So they give you a lot more transparency while you're sitting there waiting in an ER room. A lot of that stuff wasn't there years ago. The cath lab before, you know, 2 years ago, that really wasn't a huge thing. We have 2 dialysis centers now in the county. Said that there's been a huge overhaul of that hospital. And I'm not trying to like praise them just because I'm in the EMS side, field as well. But what we have is come a long way.
Yeah, I know a couple of the doctors over there. Dr.
Yeah.
Dare, I don't know her personally, but Dr. Dare, one of my friends, they couldn't diagnose her or anything. She's actually the one that found out my friend had cancer. Just because she took an extra 5 minutes, said, "Why don't we do this?" and found out that she had cancer. So I know there's some good doctors.
Yeah, there's an
over there.
oncology center right down the road now. That for cancer patients.
Yeah, my son went there. He broke his leg, and his arm and his hand skateboarding, and he's been there doing physical therapy. They have a great physical therapy group. I know there's been a lot of changes lately, but back to you guys. You don't.
Yeah,
with the ambulances and stuff, I've seen more of the volunteers, and the paid firefighters out running ambulance calls lately. I mean, you hear them, 86 is out of the county, 24 is out of the county. All these ambulances are out of the county. When they need an ambulance, it takes so long, for them to get there. And you guys are there, the ones saving their lives or getting them to the hospital.
Historically, there were days that there have been days that one rescue was in the entire county for any kind of 911 call, and they would strategically put them in certain areas of the county to kind of cover the entire county, a middle ground area, and they've in the last few years kind of figured out, maybe this might not be really great, for overall service. And they're trying to only allow one stat transfer to go outside of the county at a time.
Yeah.
Keep everybody inside. When a bad car wreck or something else happens and they've got a ground transport, three people separately, that's not going to hold true. You're not going to be able to keep that promise. But for regular mull of the run, stat transfer stuff, they're cutting down on how often they're sending a lot of those out of the county.
Yeah.
That's been a little. I've seen a little bit of an improvement.
Yeah, Brian wrote, "The truth to fix this will be to raise taxes," and we know that people will unfortunately vote it down and can't afford it. I agree with you on that, Brian. But also, there's the other part of that is that in the past, and the reason people vote down stuff, and the reason I vote down raising taxes, is because let's take the Better Place plan. Okay, the Better Place plan was supposed to fix roads. We're paying for a freaking water treatment plant in East Palatka. Why do my taxes pay for a water treatment plant for my roads that are now taken and put to a water treatment plant? That's not what we pay our taxes for. And when the tax money doesn't go where it's supposed to go, I've had to replace my front end on my freaking truck. Every year I have to replace it about $1,500 to $2,000. You saw my big F-350 out there. I mean, it's a lot of money to replace that four-wheel drive and everything else on the front of it because the roads suck here. And they were supposed to be done by a certain time, and then it carried on for another 10 years, and it keeps carrying on and carrying on. And the money's getting shifted over to different things. Leave the freaking clock tower and give you guys a raise, or improve the fire departments, pay for you guys some health care or something. Good God. But, I got to agree with you on that. God, there's a lot of
the tax stuff. If you don't mind if I comment,
no, go ahead.
We're pretty high up there already on the millage. It's pretty dang close to being maxed out, sadly. And if you watch some of the commission meeting after the only comment that was made towards me, trying to figure out an issue for us to figure out a way for us to tax wise fix this issue with the fire service ratings. Mr. Rawls mentioned that the system is a little archaic on how we collect taxes, and sorry, what was I going to say? There's other ways, other revenue generators to get out there and make that money. Like with that 1.1% millage we're already getting out for fire service fee. We can't really raise that anymore right now because that would max out the total millage that's already in place. There's really not much more room to grow as far as trying to get more money out of the fire fee. So the ad valorem taxes are kind of outdated as far as trying to gain any growth in any public service. But like with wasteful side of spending money, that might help in the long run if we found a way to do a direct fee to a service and then lowered the millage, because you would at least know on the millage side that they're not wastefully spending your money on stuff that's not necessary. And you know, all that money is directly going to that service that you needed to be provided. You know, via like a fire service fee. They actually tried that 10 years ago, and I don't know if you remember with the fire service fee for the county. And there was about 200 people that showed up at the Ravine Gardens, and you know, this is during the recession era, so I can kind of understand the little bit of angst in that direction they were going with it. And it was voted down 4 to 1, and they were going in. I'm sorry, 1 to 4, and they were going in 4 to 1 before the meeting. But with the amount of people that showed up that were against the idea of raising a fire fee millage, that shot down the whole idea.
Yeah, I had this stats on the different gas prices that were the percentages that were raised, and I don't have them right in front of me. I'm sure I've got them someplace. But I like what Mark said, better place scam. Martha said as long as the county could assure that the money raised by the tax increase would go to the service needed, she said I would campaign for it. I would too, Martha. I'd campaign for it in a heartbeat. But the problem is that, you know, like Brian said, you can't rob from Peter to pay Paul. And they can't take from what is there for the roads and put it into a water treatment plant. You know, I have well water. Put them back on freaking well water. Hasn't hurt me. You know, I boil my food. I buy bottled water. I don't even know why. That's a freaking joke that the water treatment plant is even there in the first freaking place. You know, and that everybody else in the county has to pay for a little tiny community because it's close to Palatka. Palatka, the south end and the north end of the county are bastardized. If you're going to do it straight across the board. You know, if you're going to give Palatka over there because it's the town, it's the city, you know, they're doing all this and bringing this stuff into Palatka to get more money to come into Palatka. But what about people in Satsuma, Pomona Park, Crescent City, you know, Interlochen, Keystone Heights, all these other places around? No, it's just that one little tight place over there. And Palaka's fire department said, hey, guys and gals, I am not knocking our fire departments over there. You'll never find anybody that'll stand up more for the volunteers or for the paid firefighters than Tammy and myself and our staff. Right. Yeah, never. There's no way I would ever even dog one of our firefighters. But make it straight across the board. Don't take away San Mateo's truck. Get off your asses and get some grants and get another truck. There's no reason to take their truck away from them. I've seen it happen in different ones. There's a fire department volunteers out in, where was that, Interlochen or Keystone Heights, one of them out there. I went out there to look at this place. Their freaking kitchen is falling down. And it's like, what the hell? I don't understand that. I don't understand why there was tires getting blown, why there has to be, you know, move a fire department out into a friggin' potato field, which is further away from the accidents and stuff.
Why can't the ambulance crews be at the fire stations? Why can't they put their buildings closer to that? You know, in the last year, they put the ambulance over in Satsuma's fire hall.
Julio Salva says, hello from Brazil. Hello in Brazil. That's a long ways. I love Brazil. I love Brazilian nuts. But, yeah, I just, you know, I really don't get it. Now, are you going to the next meeting?
I plan on it. Probably from this far out, I'll just start doing the 3-minute public comments. The presentation was just kind of a big swing, and it gave me enough time to try to bring all the issues home.
Well, how much time do you need to get your point across to them?
I thought 5 minutes would have been great. I thought 5 minutes was going to do it. So I'm going to hopefully from here on out just keep on you know, looking into researching into the issues that are popping up with response times and the amount of manpower that's showing up, and then just bring them general, you know, monthly reports. This is what didn't show up. This is what did show up.
Well, I'll tell you what. Me and my staff will show up there. The ones that are over here. Of course, Tammy's in Tampa. I'll show up there. Maria will show up there. We'll get the Hobbit to show up there. I don't know if you can go or not, Chris, on Tuesday morning.
That commission meeting, I'll just go ahead and tell you too, real quick. There was a lot of people from San Mateo there that were just civilian that wanted to see what was going to be said about our issue, and a lot of people from the fire service side were sitting in the back too that wanted to know what direction we were going. So, not a lot was not a lot of good thoughts came out of that meeting from the people in watching constituents.
I'll tell you what, I'll show up at the meeting next Tuesday at 9 o'clock, or the second Tuesday at 9 o'clock, and I'll be there early. And I'll go there and I'll get up and I'll say, "Oh, I need to yield the floor for him to talk for me for the next 2 minutes, please." You can have my 3 minutes.
If you have an issue and you start discussing something and somebody else speaks up, that's with your party. I've seen them allow them to come up. Probably not me. They'll see me and probably say no. But yeah, you can kind of give your time to someone else that you're chatting with.
I've had Larry Harvey let me go over my 3 minutes, but I'll give you my 3. Maria will give you her 3. Chris will give you his 3.
I want to say this to the commissioners and anybody that's in the government up there. If they've been lucky enough to never have had a fire or have never been in a car accident of any kind, perhaps they need to show up at a structure fire and see it for themselves. Something to experience.
I think every one of them needs a pager on their side, and they need to listen to all the calls all day long, and then
exactly
go to them, see what you're getting.
I think they should
see what they involve and see what goes into dealing with one. Because if you've never experienced that for yourself, you don't know what it is.
I think they should have to go out to wrecks with them when they're extracting little kids, and where they have to sit over on the side like I've had to do a few times and puke my guts up.
They should have to.
Not because of what I seen that was so gross, but it's because of the loss of life. I think they should have to wake up in the middle of the freaking night like I do, and I'm sure all the volunteers do, where you sit up in the bed and you're covered with sweat because you're having a dream that you could have saved this kid, but you were a second too late. And probably if they had to go and there was a kid that got killed, go there and let them see the coffin. Let them see them before they clean that body up. That, hey, if there would have been an extra 5 or 6 minutes that it would have taken, like with San Mateo Fire Department, could have been there had they have had what they needed, or these other places, Keystone Heights, Interlochen, Crescent City, anywhere it's at. And let them go there and look at these little kids' bodies laying there, or look at the people that are dead inside these coffins, or not coffins, but in the morgue. And let them see how mangled up they are, and let them see what everybody else has to see. I think they would agree that it's worth more than frickin' $8 a call. But wait till it happens to one of them. They're going to expect the same damn treatment that you're giving somebody in San Mateo that they're not getting. They're going to expect better treatment. And they're always the first ones to bitch and complain, saying, well, it took them 5 minutes to get to my house, or it took them 20 or 30 minutes to get to my house. You know what? You're lucky I'm not a damn volunteer, because I wouldn't even show up. Well, I probably wouldn't. I'd bring a squirt gun and go, there's your fire. I'm putting it out. Screw you. You got $4 on the call and you're screwing us?
Just think about it. There's
you guys are better people than I am.
Schools in those areas. Browning Pierce, QI Roberts. They're out there. Nobody's coming to them.
Yeah, that sucks.
You need to think about that.
Yep. If they are coming, they're coming from a long ways away.
Guys and gals, we try to answer all your questions tonight, but there's just no way. This thing's like a freaking ticker tape.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring all this trouble.
Oh, no, that's all right. It's not trouble. You can see by the comments that people are, they respect and they love our volunteer firefighters. They love you guys.
I've had a lot of text message, email, Facebook, message, whatnot stuff. Just a lot of positive. I've had a lot, pretty much almost 100% positive response back from what I said at that meeting. And that's really what I wanted to bring to the table. Was I wasn't trying to call out any people or department or anything in general. It's just I was, as a citizen, I'm there as saying, hey, this service provided stinks. Change it, fix it, please. And
that's the thing. We've been trying to, for you guys and gals that are listening, it's not about bashing the county commissioners or the system or anything. There is a problem. and the problem has to be fixed. You know, if these big cities are getting grants, and we need better grant writers, whatever they are that the other counties are doing around us, because I haven't heard any, I've never been contacted by another county. St. Augustine has never contacted me and said, hey, we have a problem with our firefighters. You know, Tampa has never called us. Jacksonville has never called us. So what is it that these other counties are doing that they're keeping their volunteers happy? My brother-in-law is a firefighter over in Tampa for years. He retired from it and never had a problem. Always had what they needed. Hell, they had steaks in their freezer and baked potatoes, because I know, because I went there and ate them before with them. You know, but I go out and cover these calls. It's whatever it has to be done needs to be done. It may be that we need to have a meeting one day with all the volunteers and get the county commissioners in one room and just surround them. Do the old Indian around the chuck wagon type thing and just have a good old bitching session and just tell them this is what you need, you know, to let them see. Because when they only see one of you guys like yourself going in there for that meeting, and I take my hat off to you, buddy, you're going up against City Hall. They say you can't fight City Hall. You can't fight it when you're getting crickets. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like walking outside here, you hear nothing but crickets. You know, how are you going to fight something you can't see?
There's your crickets.
Well, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, it's the crickets. Oh, we got crickets. It's a county commission meeting. Oh, damn.
Just,
Chris
you know,
is good.
it's hard to criticize your own people. It's hard to.
Okay. Yeah, there's just too many comments on here for me to get.
But I just say real quick too is it's
Casey
like,
said he can help.
cool. Yeah, just it's hard to criticize your own people. It's not something, you know, firefighters we think we can fix everything. You know, if there's a challenge, challenge accepted. But when it comes to something, you know, saying that we're not doing it good or right, it's hard for you to get up there and talk about it. I'm hoping this at least moves something forward.
It says Kayvon wrote volunteer coordinator position vacant with a question mark. Let's see. There's so many comments on Ted Jacobs wrote, new here, what's going on? Ted, we've been discussing basically the volunteer firefighters and how they're not getting what they need to do what they need to do for the citizens of the county. Is basically as best I can sum it up, between the ISO ratings being, you know, too high and people having to pay higher taxes, to volunteer stations that are not getting what they need, or volunteers that are having heart attacks and dying. It's a whole list of stuff. If you guys and gals want to go back and check it out, that joined in late on, you can go to YouTube or the Putman Way and type in, if you go to YouTube, type in IITW radio. And Josh wrote, the problem is all over the countries are all career in combination now. Grants do no good when you have no members. That's true. Well, it's not a problem. It's just the evolution. Okay, there's just, let's see. The answer is in the comments, Travis. Putman doesn't have the infrastructure where other counties do. That's true. You know, but I also know that we have a lot of good people that have, if I can go out and help, and Tammy and my staff can go out and we can talk to businesses and get 150,000 bottles of water in less than 2 weeks and get those delivered, there's no reason why businesses in this county can't step up and individuals can't step up. The only reason it doesn't happen is because people don't let it happen. They don't make it happen. In order to get things done, you have to make it happen. And the problem with this county is there's a lot of people that sit on their asses and don't do anything. They don't get involved. Oh, somebody else will do it. I see it all the time. When we do fundraisers for people, Leah show up. Let's see. There's a couple of people that show up. Lee Dandridge, her husband. We'll have Desiree will show up. But it's always the same 4 or 5 people that show up. You know, it's never tons of people. When you have James out at Station 20 that'll show up and he'll sweat his butt off, him and his wife. will cook ribs and chicken and everything else to try to help do what they can do. But unless people get involved in this county, it is never going to change. You can't make it all on the county commissioners. You can't make it all on their government or everything else. This country was founded on people helping people. Volunteers started out where there would be bucket brigades. For all you younger kids that don't know what a bucket brigade is, that's where they line it with buckets and they take them all the way down to the St. Johns River. And it might be a mile away, and they keep passing buckets back and forth. And that's how they started putting out fires. That's how the whole volunteer fire department came along. And then there was hand pumps, you know. They didn't just have a jackass out there and they fill it full of water and walk up and kick it in the ass or lift its tail and it pissed all the fire out. Never happened that way. You know, there was no fire hydrants back when I was a kid.
City Palaca had a steam-powered fire engine called a Silsby back in 1882.
Well, even their infrastructure over there, the pipes and stuff. And I know in the last few years, I hear the calls, there's no water coming out. There's no water coming out because the pipes suck.
Well, you know what? What was great was all these water issues that have been brought to the commission's attention are getting taken care of. Like there's a ton of new water line systems going in, but it took people in the community to go post fires happening with lack of water to bring it to their attention. Say, hey, we're tax-paying citizens. Why do we not have adequate water in our neighborhood? And lo and behold, look here in the last few years, they're all getting taken care of.
Yep. Well, there was a situation, too, down in Georgetown.
People had to speak up. Yeah.
Where their pumping station, where they had their water that they would put in the trucks, they would run back to the firehouse, and the damn pump didn't work. I mean, it would take them 2 hours to fill the truck up. Mm-hmm. They were quicker to go down to the river with a little small gasoline motor and crank it up and pump it in there, but it was clogging up their hoses and stuff. There has to be something done. I think we need to get you back in here again before the next meeting.
Sure.
And, you know, try to get something lined up and get, you know, you can't fight City Hall as one individual. Nope. You can't bring awareness as one individual. But if you have an army going at things, then you can make things happen. And I'm not telling people to show up there and riot. Hell no. But voice your opinion. That's what we have the right to do. For you people that are convicted felons that have been out of jail or off of probation, do this. This is called a voters forum. As long as you haven't committed murder and you're not a child molester, if you're a child molester, you need to be shot in the freaking head and have your pecker cut off and sewn to your forehead and make you look like a damn turkey. But exercise your voting rights. Go get a voting thing. You can go up to the supervisor of elections at 29 or 2509 Krill Avenue, Suite 900 in Palaca, or you can call them at 386-329-0224. They will send you this form. Fill it out. Get your voting rights back. Things aren't going to change unless you vote the right people in. If you don't have people in there that care, it will never change. If you don't have people that are fighting for you, it will never, ever change, period.
And also, want to just throw out here, here at the end with recruiting, every volunteer department's always looking for some more people. You may or may not know where that fire department is, but if you go to the EOC in City Palaca over there on State Road 19, it's an emergency operating center. It's got the big light up sign out front that says all the public emergency awareness stuff on it. You go there and ask them, tell them, hey, I want to volunteer, and they've got a gentleman in there. I think it's Gene Morgante. Ask for that gentleman, say, I'd like to volunteer in my community, and he'll get you set up with the area that you live in. And like I said, we're always in San Mateo and everywhere else in Putnam County. They're always looking for more volunteers.
Yeah.
I put the list up, too, not too long ago.
Yeah, they put it in the newspaper. It's put on social media. It's never not publicized, but why not do it now while we're here talking?
Yeah, Ted wrote in and said about a lot of the surrounding counties don't have a clue of your needs. Nope, they don't. There's about I can go over the horse pasture over there and I can fill it up with horse crap in a glass and put water in it, and there's more transparency through that than there is in a lot of stuff that goes on in Putnam County. Skidmore says you should get the mayor on here to answer these questions. Isn't it a responsibility to provide public service for his county? Well, only for Palaca, because you have a different mayor in Crescent City. You have one in Interlaken. You have one in Pomona Park, which the mayor in Pomona Park rocks.
This is a county issue.
Yep. It's
Yeah,
county.
this is a county
Yep.
county issue. All the mayors need to come together. Leave the media part.
It's responding to this.
Uh-huh.
It's responding to the one right above it.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I thought they were telling me to leave the media part. Nope, you guys are stuck with me. Unfortunately, you're stuck with Tammy too, and all the people at the Putnam Way. Well, I want to thank you for coming on tonight, Stephen,
Thanks, Travis.
and
Thanks, Tammy.
filling out, keeping us
Great.
and making it known to people what exactly is going on. This is only by doing this that we can change it and make it better.
That's right.
So we're going to take a quick break, and then I've got to come on here for about 20 minutes and talk to you guys and gals about Fort Gates and what's going on. So we're going to take a quick pee break. I've been drinking too much Mountain Dew. Thank God I didn't eat ice cream, or it'd be an hour break. So I'm
We're not
lactose
supposed to be
intolerant.
drinking Mountain Dew.
Now, that's not Mountain Dew. That's get me a bottle of water quick. Okay.
Too late.
All right, guys and gals. We'll see you back here in about 15 minutes. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, sir.
Okay.
Bye.
Am I dreaming, baby? Am I dreaming, Lord? Am I dreaming, lady? Am I dreaming, Lord? You know that you mean the world to me. You're special, girl, in every single way. Yeah, you know that I will always love you from the bottom of my heart and all of my soul. You know that you mean the world to me. Know that you really care. Yeah, you know that I will always love you from the bottom of my heart and all of my soul. Yeah, with this ring I wear thee, I make you my girl, my soul, my everything. Yeah, as long as you believe in me as a man, I promise I'm a real man and all the man you'll ever need. You know that you mean the world to me. You know that you really care. Yeah, you know that I will always love you from the bottom of my heart and all of my soul. Am I dreaming, standing tall against the waves, just like a lighthouse in a hurricane. I'd have everything to lose and nothing left to gain. I'd have everything to lose and nothing left to gain if I had you. If I had I'm ready now, that's what I said. I'm never gonna doubt, not gonna look back. But sometimes things get in my head. That's when I try to stall, I shouldn't do that. Things don't make sense anymore. It's not what it was before. Everything looks better on the surface, but I'm just really nervous. Sometimes I lie awake and wonder if I deserve this. Tell me, is it worth it? I wish I was perfect. I'm no supernova, truth is I'm just super nervous. I'm packing up and things are great. Whoever said it would be always foggy anyway. And breaking down is not as helpful as they make it seem. What's the point in coming clean? Things don't make sense anymore. It's not what it was before. Everything looks better on the surface, but I'm just really nervous. Sometimes I lie awake and wonder if I deserve this. Tell me, is it worth it? I wish I was perfect. I'm no supernova, truth is I'm just super nervous. Oh, I'm not crumbling yet, just kinda struggling, yeah. Oh, in this capsizing town, we're always tumbling down. Things don't make sense anymore. Everything looks better on the surface, but I'm just really nervous. Sometimes I lie awake and wonder if I deserve this. So tell me, is it worth it? I wish I was perfect. I'm no supernova, truth is I'm just super nervous, yeah. Better on the surface, I'm just really nervous. Sometimes I lie awake and wonder if I deserve this. Tell me, is it worth it? I wish I was perfect. I'm no supernova, truth is I'm just super nervous, yeah. On the surface, I'm ready now, that's what I said. I'm never gonna doubt, not gonna look back. I can feel the sand down in my boots. I can feel the cold down to my roots. I feel the rumble of a jet plane shaking me to my core. I'm a soldier, yeah, a soldier here in war. Baby, baby, I just got the news. Oh, honey, you ain't gonna get the blues. Hang on tight to your telephone, 'cause for Christmas, the soldiers coming home. Yeah, for Christmas, your dad just for me. You know how I love the red, the white, and the blues. I love the way those lights look shining down on you. But don't tell the kids, just make a surprise. I wanna look into the little eyes when they realize that for Christmas the soldiers coming home. Yeah, for Christmas the daddy's coming home. Christmas tree, hang up the lights and wait there just for me. You know how I love the red, the white, and the blues. I love the way those lights look shining down on you. But don't tell the kids, just make a surprise. I wanna look into the little eyes when they realize that for Christmas the daddy is coming home. Yeah, for Christmas the mama's coming home. Ooh yeah, for Christmas the soldier's coming home.
Take a deep breath and relax your mind. Let me set the mood, starting with a glass of wine. I promise to take you to another world, making your hands and your feet and your body curl. So have no fear about the love we about to make. Always giving you real and never the fake. Let's have a shot, maybe two, maybe more, so we can explore what our body's made for. First I take it slow, then I speed it up, and I won't stop till I know you've had enough. Baby, fast strokes, slow strokes, deep sea diving. Baby, just sit back, relax, and let me do the driving. I wanna give it to you just the way I know you like. Making love through the day and into the night. Baby, fast strokes, slow strokes, deep sea diving. Baby, just sit back, relax, and let me do the driving. Wait a minute, I hope you don't think I'm finished. Nope. I'm like Popeye, baby, I gotta eat my spinach. Your body to me is like the soup of the day. I love it, baby, cause you let me eat it my way. So have no fear about the love we about to make. Always giving you real and never the fake. Let's have a shot, maybe two, maybe more, so we can explore what our body's made for. First I take it slow, then I speed it up, and I won't stop till I know you've had enough. Baby, fast strokes, slow strokes, deep sea diving. Baby, just sit back, relax, and let me do the driving. I wanna give it to you just the way I know you like. Making love through the day and into the night. Baby, fast strokes, slow strokes, deep sea diving. Baby, just sit back, relax, and let me do the driving.
Fishing out in the cold. My four-wheel drive was made for the snow. My southern friends have some real nice toys, but it's a snowmobile for this Yankee boy. The Alabama stars look so bright, but you ain't seen nothing till the northern lights. I'm a Yankee boy with a touch of twang. Turn it on up so I can sing. I like my country loud and my walking broom. Mixing on up with Chicago blues. Come on, baby, won't you step inside? Making this party nationwide. Fill it on up and enjoy the ride. Yeah, this is based on Yankee pride.
to the north of Maine. Those farmers' daughters make me go insane. You gotta go south for some good chicken fried, but ain't nothing like a Michigan apple pie. Those Minnesota girls in the ski slope song wanna take their snowsuit off and have some fun. I'm a Yankee boy with a touch of twang. Turn it on up so I can sing. I like my country loud and my walking brew. Mixing on up with Chicago blues. Come on, baby, won't you step inside? Making this party nationwide. Fill her on up and enjoy the ride. Yeah, this is based on Yankee pride. I'm a Yankee boy with a touch of twang. Turn it on up so I can sing. I like my country loud and Milwaukee brew. Mix it on up with Chicago blues. Come on, baby, won't you step inside? Taking this party nationwide. Fill her on up and enjoy the ride. Yeah, this here's based on Yankee pride.
Good evening and welcome back to IITW Radio. We're extending the show a little bit tonight because we had a great show with Stephen Baker or Barker. What is it? Baker or Barker? I was supposed to have a couple more people on tonight, but instead I have a special guest in the studio. He's going to put Cadence on.
You put the
You gotta say-
cap back on.
Oh, hang on. There you go. You going to say hi, Cadence? You're not going to say hi to people? Oh, come on. You can say hi. Okay, before I get going here, if you guys and gals, check these out. I know you like these, don't you, Cadence? Look at the size of these strawberries over at Satsuma Produce at the stand. These things are good. You want one of these? Here, I know you like them. Here, you can eat one. You want one, Chris?
No.
No? Marie? Nobody wants one. I'll take a bite. Good God, those things are good. You got to eat one. Now she's eating it when she's off screen. On the screen there, you'll see the stand. Matt and Luann They have the best friggin' produce around. Those are good, aren't they? You like those? They're good because you got them all over your face now. Okay. Yeah, we had Steven here, and we were talking about the volunteer firefighters in San Mateo. At the end of the day, it's not about bashing the county commissioners. It's not about bashing people. But there is a problem, and it needs to be fixed. But we have another problem. Fort Gates Ferry. Now, I've got an email where they were going to start paving the road last week or doing work on the road down there. I went down there, and I've sat there for 4 days now. Well, Tuesday, let's see, they were going to do it Tuesday, bright and early. Went down there, some trucks showed up. Your mic is not.
Now it's on.
Oh,
No, it's not. What's going on?
okay. There it
You
is.
have 4. This is 3. There we go.
Yeah, we had some other people that were going to be on tonight, and maybe they'll show up, and maybe they won't. I don't know. We're starting without them.
No, we were joking around because we had waited and they were supposed to come in and grade the ferry, and we have all the emails proving that. And they drove in, didn't even have a grader, turned around and drove right back out. There was no grading or anything. You and I were sitting there. We were sitting there fanning ourselves just to how hot it was. All that pavement they put in there.
Well, I know it was
It
horrible.
was horrible. Oh my goodness.
So, and the email was from the road department here.
And actually, it was from Mike Nimitz, to be specific.
Hello, Dina. But yeah, it was supposed to be paved on the Fort Gates thing. Now, I have to give some shout outs to, did I bring my book in? Yes, I did. One of the gentlemen that's helping, we got quite a few people that are involved. There's a tug over there that was built in 1910. In 1918, it was commissioned to haul stuff back and forth, people, cattle, all kinds of stuff, old Model Ts, Model As, and stuff across the St. Johns River from the east bank to the west bank, or from the north to south, depends on who you talk to. But we've had some great companies get involved here that's been stepping up and donating stuff. I went over and talked to Bob, the assistant manager at Home Depot over in Palaca, and I believe we're going to get the wood donated for the deck and for the wheelhouse on the old tug. We want to keep this thing as original as possible and keep it so that you guys and gals have a place to go back to and take a ride across the river on a ferry. And a lot of it is used because people need this ferry service to get back and forth across the river. So there was a guy named Mark Ryan over at Ryan Manufacturing, and it's on Highway 207 in East Palaca. It's like you're heading toward Hastings. They're on the left-hand side. You'll see these farm tractors and stuff sitting there. The gentleman has graciously donated all the steel to put on the front of this tug, because this stuff is from the 1930s, or actually 1918, 1919, around in there. And he's graciously donated the steel to do this. My buddy over there, Paul Kerp and Larry and them at the fire department in Georgetown, they're going to weld all these parts up. We've got Home Depot that's getting involved in it, and thank you, Mr. Bob and Home Depot, and for all you guys that are donating. I do appreciate it. I believe West Marine might even be donating the paint for the bottom of the thing. So this tug is going to be done. And I'm hoping, and I haven't heard back from them yet, that Palaca Shipbuilders, did I say that right?
Shipbuilding.
Palaca, no, it's Putnam County.
It's St. John Shipbuilding,
St. John's.
ING. We got to work on you.
St.
Your
John's.
ings.
I'm tired. I've been going since 6 o'clock. I got to bed at 3 o'clock last night, or 3:30, and then was back up at 6:30 getting tarps for people, houses that are missing. I had to go to St. Augustine today, and then Marion County, and all over the frickin' state, trying to get stuff to help people out. Now the St. John's Shipbuilding, I'm hoping that they're going to do this. I don't want to take this getting the barge redone. It did get a hole rammed in it from Irma. I mean, the landing got torn up. That's your grandpa's ferry, isn't it? Cadence. Is that your grandpa's ferry? She's a little embarrassed. That's your grandpa's ferry, right? You can shake your head. Have you ever ridden on it? You have? Is it cool? You like it? You're not going to talk to me, are you? You're my fill-in person for tonight. You're supposed to talk to me. You know how many thousands of people are watching you right now? Holy cow. And you, let's see. Do I know anybody that's got a birthday coming up this weekend?
I don't know. Somebody got a birthday coming up?
Let's see. Do you have a birthday coming up at all? Let's see. We might have something for you on here. I think we're going to put this up for you.
This is to Miss Cadence L'Orealla.
We can put this video up, can't we? Cadence. How old are you going to be? See, we got to wish you happy birthday before anybody. How old are you going to be?
How old you gonna be? You gotta at least tell us that one. You gonna be 5?
11, 12, 13, 19,
Look at her. Look at you like you're crazy.
35. No, 11. 11. Then what happened to
Happy
you?
birthday, sweetheart.
Okay. You want me to go back and talk about your grandpa's ferry? She's trying to hide behind the microphone. You're too pretty. Let's put this microphone down a little bit since you're not talking in it. Now people can see your pretty
He's
face.
got you now.
But Fort Gates Ferry, it was supposed to be, hello, Chris. It was supposed to be done, the roads were supposed to be done already. For 18 months now, this ferry's been down. The landing is not fixed. And we have pictures that we're going to put up and show you guys and gals of the ferry and stuff and the way it's ran. And this ferry has been around since 1780. Fort Gates was established. And it was a military outpost. And then it was served during the Civil War, the Second Seminole Indian Wars. And it's been a vital asset to this community now since 1780. It's helped build and restore stuff. We're going to turn her mic off for a minute because she's not talking to me. That way, thank you. Want another strawberry? You want another strawberry? Cadence? Here. There you go. You talk too much. That'll keep you quiet. But this is Fort Gates right here. And that's what it looks like. It's this barge is right. It's 100 years old. This ferry is from 1910 when it was built. They took a sailboat and converted it in 1918 or 1919, and this thing is still up and running. Well, not right now. It's not because the barge got slammed into the landing, which is not the county's fault. It's not the state's fault. It's just what happens. But it's got a hole punctured in it, and the ferry has not been running now in 18 months. And there you can see Paul Newman actually filmed a Nissan commercial on it. When was that, 1980?
It was in 1982.
1982?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing has got a lot of history behind it. Doesn't even look close to being that way right now. There's Paul Newman standing out there. God, I wish the guy hadn't died. I love his barbecue sauce. But we're in the process right now of trying to get this thing up and restored and running. But every time I call on this thing to find out what's going on, I was told that it was the Port Authority that was taking the old barge. Now, Drayton Island had gotten a new barge built. Turns out the thing is 3 feet higher than the actual landing, from what I understand. Their old barge was supposed to be given to Fort Gates Ferry to replace this other barge. Well, it's not happening. Then I was told, well, it's going to be given to the Port Authority. Who's the Port Authority? We don't know. Turns out the county commissioners are the Port Authority. I keep getting absolutely no answers, so we've been trying to find them a barge. Okay, Mr. Bill Pickens, I've talked to him on a couple different occasions. The man is unbelievable. He at least calls me back. Hello, Glenda. I know Glenda. That's one of our firefighters, our volunteers. She is awesome. Her and her husband both. But Fort Gates, and I know that the fire departments use Fort Gates on several occasions to get over in Ocala and stuff. Glenda, she rocks, man. I've seen her on fires and different things. We got more pictures of Fort Gates that we can put up. Let's just keep putting up pictures up while I talk here. But there's people that go down there and go fishing. You have Gateway Fish Camp that's there, and they charge, I said it wrong last time. I have to correct myself. Instead of $5 a day, they charge $4 a day. And they got a nice dock down there. Unfortunately, you can't fish off the barge right now because it's not up and running. But the Gateway Fish Camp, if you look at the picture there, you'll see where that was in 1930-something. Doesn't look like that anymore. That old house is long gone, but they do have cabins you can rent.
That picture was actually in 1940.
1940?
Yes.
Oh, speaking of...
If you actually go, you want some history on Fort Gates, and you go to www.flmemory.com, you'll be able to pull up all the images on Fort Gates Ferry, the Gateway House.
Yeah, but here's some more pictures of this old ferry when it was originally with a cypress barge and stuff. Now, I know that's kind of hard to see, but you can see how the river used to be real small, and now it's a lot wider. And people use this thing to get across, back and forth across the St. John's. Not anymore. For 17, 18 months now, this thing has not been up and running. I know that there was, $1.5 million was allocated in 17 and 18 for this.
Yes, 1 month after the ferry was down.
For Fort Gates. And I have all the paperwork right here on it, so nobody can say I'm lying. And the money's not there anymore. Whether it didn't get used for the ferry and it had to be returned back to the state, the grant, whatever the case is, Fort Gates is still not up and running. And that sucks. You know, your grandpa needs to be hauling people across the water. You know, that's what he does because he's a nice guy, huh? He doesn't make any money off of it. I think he makes $3 an hour. He can't.
And that's 24-hour days.
Yeah. You know, and he's got a lot more. Somebody had written in, and to the guy that had written in about, well, why doesn't Fort Gates fix it? Because it's owned by a couple people. Well, for one, they charge $10 a car. The thing has never changed. Well, it hasn't changed since, what, 1980 or 78, 79, something like that?
I believe it was 78 or 79. Yes, this picture, I think it's from 1982 or 1983. This was 1982, yes. And it
still remained $10 to go across the river. By the time he drives that tug over across the river and brings it back, then he doesn't make a lot of money. There's not a ton of people that use this thing, and there should be more people using it, but by the time you take out the maintenance and all the stuff that has to go into running this ferry, there's not any money left over for them to really get a check. So Mr. Dale does that mostly out of the goodness of his heart and because he wants to see a piece of our history stay in history. Now, they do have cabins down there that you guys and gals can rent. How much are they? They're not that expensive.
No, the cabins, I believe, a 1-bedroom cabin is $45 a night. That includes your tax, and it's fully furnished. And a 2-bedroom cabin, I want to say, is $55 a night. So, but you can call 386-467-2411, 386-467-2411, and they'll be able to give you all the current prices. So,
yeah, there's the phone number right there.
Yes.
And that picture you just had up is the old tug.
Y'all need to check out their Facebook page. Mr. Dale just posted a really beautiful sunset picture. So.
Oh, I was down there yesterday and took some awesome pictures.
Yes.
But the fishing stuff that come out of there, do we have the fishing pictures where the people are catching fish down there? There is unbelievable fish that have been caught down there. And there's one 30-something pound catfish. A 30-pound catfish could just about eat you, know it? You're a tiny little thing.
That's a big catfish.
You're a tiny little thing. A 30-pound catfish could pretty much eat you in one bite.
That's about the size of your little brother. That's a big catfish.
Don't tell her that. She'll push her brother in the water to get eaten up, won't she?
Not this sweet little child.
You wouldn't push your brother in the water? No, yeah, you would. I would push your brother in the water. No, I wouldn't. You know I like your brother. Anyhow, this thing needs to be up and running. And with the businesses, I want to challenge the businesses in Putnam County. Jolie said it's cheaper than motels. You're not kidding. Plus, you get there's full kitchen in them. They have laundry and stuff there. They are working on getting internet, Wi-Fi there. Keeps going in and out. Of course, it's Putnam County. You guys will understand that. But the thing is a place where you can take your family and you can go down there. And the cabins are nice. If you guys go to Fort Gates Ferry on Facebook, just check out some of the pictures that were even taken in the last week that we put up. And you'll see the inside of the cabins. You'll see the flowers. It's beautiful down there. The main thing is it's just about the same way it was in 1780. The only thing that's changed is some siding that went on a few of the cabins. But basically, it's still the same. One of the few places where you can go back in time. Now, the place has been in existence. It was before the Civil War. It went through the Civil War. It went through the Second Seminole Indian War, which was right here in our backyard. It's gone through all kinds of stuff in history as revitalizations to the St. John's. There you go. Look at those cute little kids. That catfish is almost as big as that little dude. That's a zip code 202. I wonder how you get that thing up in that. That had to be a fight.
It is a good family environment. Everything about it. It's family.
Look at the size of
fun.
that catfish.
Look
There's
at the
old
smiles
tug.
and the memories that they've had. When you and I were there, Travis, the other day, there was a lady that was standing in the footsteps of her grandmother after 70 years.
Yeah,
that was really to be part of that was really something.
I was just getting ready to tell them that. We don't have her picture, do we?
Yes, we do.
Do we?
Over on Facebook on.
Yeah, send that over so
Fort
Chris
Gates
can
Ferry.
put that up.
The album. She'll be holding a picture up.
There was a lady there that I got to meet, and she had flown down from Ohio. She came down with pictures of her grandmother and was in the 40s or 50s, I believe. Yeah, there's the pictures. She came down and took pictures that she had bought down with her because she had always heard the stories about her parents in the 40s and 50s would be at Fort Gates, and then she heard about her great-grandparents that were at Fort Gates. And her whole family history, they visited this thing since the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and 60s, 70s, and she wanted to be a part of it because she had heard the stories and she saw the pictures and actually had the pictures of her grandmother standing in certain spots. Well, I recognized the spots. So I asked her if she would like me to take pictures of her standing in those exact spots. Actually, I didn't. You ask her if she would like her picture taken with them. I want you guys and gals to check out these photos. This lady flew down from Ohio just to stand there. And she's standing in the exact spot that her grandmother stood in with her mother, who was a little girl at the time. And well, actually, the mom, this lady's mom, was inside the grandmother's belly, and the other one is the great-grandmother. So where her great-grandmother and her mother stood, she now stood, and she got teared up. And you can't really blame her. It's not that often that you get to go stand in the exact same footsteps of where your great-grandparents did, and then your grandparents, and then your parents. And I thought that was so cool. We went around to different spots, and if you look at the picture,
it's almost identical.
Except for the landing's missing. Mm-hmm. She's standing in, because the landing comes up on the bank there, and she is standing in the exact spot of where her grandmother stood and her great-grandmother. And I thought that was so cool. And then this other spot here, she was standing in front. Of course, the tug wasn't there, but the trees in the back, on the back right, and the one cabin that's there, she's in the exact same spot where her relatives stood, 70 years ago. And I just thought that was so awesome that she got to do that. But we need to get this thing up and running. We're going to be putting up a GoFundMe page here pretty soon. Mm-hmm. And you guys and gals need to donate. We don't touch any of the monies. Of course, that goes to Fort Gates. But you need to, if it's $1, but we need to get this thing up and running. You realize that once this thing is going, there's a picture right there of years ago. But this is a piece of history that nobody else can claim in the state of Florida except for Putnam County. We have the oldest ferry that's still able to up and run as once the stinking landing gets fixed in the state, and one of the oldest in the United States. And for this thing to be shut down, It is losing a piece of history that doesn't need to be shut down. Now, this is a picture of the old tug there. It's called Too Windy, and that's the one from 1918. That thing is still functional, and it's going to be up and running here. We're trying to get some volunteers to help us do it. Me and Mr. Dale are getting in there, and we're cutting the top deck out on it and replacing it with pine and cypress the way it was over 100 years ago. So it's going to be back to original. And the old wheelhouse, we're going to set that up on the bank so people can have pictures taken of it inside of it, just like they're driving the tug across the river. But I just think that's too cool. I went to a couple places today. Company over in St. Augustine said they were going to donate some stuff, and of course they didn't donate. There's another picture of it. They were going to donate some stuff. Turns out they hem-hawed around about it. So if you guys have any old boat parts that you can donate, please feel free to send them over our way.
Yes.
You know, and we have some more pictures that we're going to put up here in a second.
Yes, it's going to pull up a couple more that are from the older parts of the ferry.
Oh yeah, I love these pictures. Is that a 55?
Cool. Mm-hmm.
Now that saw blade right there, we are looking for a saw blade. You're going to see it right here. Can you swallow that up, Chris? To where they can see the saw blade. Used to, you had to see a wrench on the left-hand side there, and it says blow your horn across the ferry. There's an old Coca-Cola sign, and I did contact Coca-Cola, and I'm trying to get a replica of that sign. We need a saw blade that size. You guys and gals, look at that for a second. If you know anybody that has a big saw blade like that, please have them contact me. We want to try to put this thing up on the other side. Now, I went over there the other day. I drove all the way over to Marion County, which took me an hour and a half to get over there to the same spot that would have normally taken me 10 minutes with a ferry, and went over there and whacked a pan, and they could hear it across the river. And that's what we want to try to do again. Oh, I love this picture right here. This is the old Cypress barge, which is still sunk in the water there. There's two of them, one from the 1700s, and one from the early 1800s that are still in the water there, and you can see them when it's low tide. But that is too cool. Look at that old barge. Would you ride on that Cadence? You wouldn't ride on that? Why not? You've been on the other ferry, right? Was it fun? Your grandpa take you across the river all the time on it?
When he could, huh? Not anymore.
Well, he can't anymore. But it was fun.
Do you want to see it up and run it again so you can have more fun on it? Yeah.
Were you scared when you were going across it?
I like the face
No?
I just gave you.
That's because you're a tough cookie.
Yeah, she is.
Jolie says we are losing too much history because of politics. Let's keep this one piece that can be saved just by caring and helping. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jolie. The one thing is people don't care anymore, and they're trying to destroy history by ripping down statues and doing everything else. This is a piece of history that's not racist. This has carried black people across, Indians across, white people across. You know, it's carried all kinds of people across. It needs to be preserved, without doubt.
Yes.
So we're going to be putting up a GoFundMe page next week, and we're going to need to raise about 8 to 10 grand.
There's the sunset that Mr. Dale posted last night. Yes. This is what you see every night at Fort Gates Ferry Gateway Fish Camp.
Except for when it's raining.
Well, yeah, but
Who took this?
Dale did.
Dale took this?
Yeah, he posted this last night. It was from the night before.
That's one of the old docks that got ripped down.
You can hear the water rippling if you're quiet.
I can't hear it, but I'm deaf. If you look at where he was at to the right, and I hope it pans back around to it. Yep, there it goes. It's panning back around to it. Right off the end of that dock, right there at the corner on the right-hand side, it's where the two old ferries are sunk. The original Cypress barges are sunk at. But, man, what a great picture. And you can't get that picture anywhere else in the world except at Fort Gates.
That's right.
There's the barge. See the landing sticking up there that's still destroyed?
Not
the
for
barge, of
long.
course, has a hole in it, and I'm hoping that St. John's Shipbuilding
Good job. I'm so proud of you.
is going to take care of it. I mean,
What do you
they're
think,
nice as
Cadence?
all
We need to give
people
him
up
an
there.
applause. Yay!
You know, it'd be probably easier to get. Right? It'd probably be easier to get a new barge, but the fact is, this thing's 100 years, 100
Yes, the
plus
barge
years
is,
old.
Yeah, the barge is 100 years old, and the boat's 100 years old. So we want to restore it.
I mean, how many places can you go and say, hey, there's this still a tug that's from the early 1900s, and I'm sure it was probably built in 1899, and get on that and get on a barge that's over 100 years old and go back like our ancestors did and travel across the freaking river. So, with that being said, do you want to say anything else, Cadence? You've been talking like crazy.
Oh, we were supposed to mention something about the roads on the other side. We
Yeah.
have some listeners tonight, please.
Yeah, Mr. Mike over there, there's 4 firefighters that are retired that live over on the other side. And the Department of Forestry over there has just come in and fixed the road. They couldn't even get it. People couldn't even pass through there. And I understand because the ferry wasn't up and running. But the one gentleman, Mike from South Florida, Mike, I got to give him a shout out, said, they need to get over there and keep that road graded. There's been sheriff's cars that got stuck down there when they had an active shooter down there a few weeks ago. What is that? It says, Mike Perry wrote, seems to me this is a great option to attract folks to the beauty and the serenity of our beautiful town. Hey, Doug, how you doing? He's absolutely right. That's a great way to get people to come to Putnam County. How many people can say, well, I can go. You can't go to Orlando and ride the oldest barge for $10. And it's cool as all get out. When you get to pull your vehicle on there and you get to go across the water, have you ever seen alligators going across their Cadence? There was an alligator down there the other day. There's black bears. It's part of the Florida Black Bear Trail. No, there's no other place in Florida that you can go and hop on a barge like this and ride across. There are 3 barges that are still in existence in Florida. The one at Pontoon Island, which goes about 25 yards, maybe 50 or 100 yards across the river, so like channel. But this one goes all the way across the river. You're talking about a good 10-minute, sometimes 15-minute ride, depending on how fast Mr. Dale wants to get over. He might be able to do it in 8 minutes flat. But then you get to go on the Black Bear Scenic Trail. And every time I go over there, I see black bear, I see deer, I see turtles, hawks, eagles, all kinds of stuff. And there's not a better way. Get your kids out of there when this thing gets up and running. We need people to show up down there and go across the river and then go and see what's on the other side. Get your kids away from Xbox. If you talk into that thing, it works pretty good.
We actually got a ribbon cutting ceremony. We had a suggestion for a ribbon cutting ceremony when we get it back up and running. And I know IITW Radio has some really good artists that we could have do something like that with us.
Yeah, I'm going to get Austin Neal to come down and do a private concert there
Calvin
and just
O.
have people line up all the way down the freaking road just to have Mr. Dale take them across the river and bring them back. We'll get them in from both sides so they can come over and go back.
Yes.
I'm sure we could get at least 100 cars down there.
Yes.
But we're going to be setting that up. I'm going to get out of here. A couple of important things. I want to thank the people that are donating, the businesses around town.
Miss Helen said she'll bring the entertainment. Me, LOL.
That'll work, Miss Ellen.
Gotcha.
Is that Miss Ellen that's on a radio show?
Yes.
Oh, cool. I love her to death. She helped out today. I've got to give you props on this, Miss
my
Ellen,
gosh.
while you're listening. There's a family that was in need of clothing and sleeping bags and food and a bunch of other stuff, and she stepped up with the Christian Service Center over there, and she bought out the stuff today so that we could go out and deliver the stuff to this family that really needs it. She's also helping them with the Rebuild Florida thing, which I'll be talking about on Monday night again. If your house has been damaged, was damaged during Hurricane Irma, not Matthew, but Irma, and you still have damages, there's a chance that you could get into a brand new mobile home without paying a red stinking cent. I know 3 more people today that contacted me that said And Miss Ellen, they also said they tried calling in and calling in and calling in, and they
were
couldn't
on a
get
wait.
through.
Yeah.
So evidently, there's a lot of people that are calling in, and they left messages, and they didn't get a return phone call. Probably because a lot of people are calling in. Now, they left messages. These people will call you back. Don't get too antsy and stuff. They will call you back. What's that? Okay, that was losing too much history. Okay, we already went over that. But I want to thank Mr. Ryan, Mr. Mark Ryan over at Ryan Manufacturing's, Bob over at Eastside Towing and Collision. He's going to be actually helping to paint the boat. There's some other companies that are involved.
West Marine, Home Depot.
Well, Matt and Luann from the stand they have one in East Plaka and they have one in Satsuma. They were gracious enough to donate the ropes for the barge. This guy's kick butt. I love Matt and Luann. They're always stepping up. Martha said, I called yesterday and set it up. I set it all up on Rebuild Florida. So thankful. Well, that's what we'd like to hear, Martha. I'm sure Miss Helen's
sending
listening.
Miss Helen an email, just letting her know so she can keep track. That way, if anything happens, she knows your name was in the system.
Yeah, and you guys can do that by sending her. There is a website that is set up for Miss Helen. It's if you go to IITW Radio Rebuild at gmail.com, you can send her questions. She will answer them. Give her a little bit of time. She's very busy. I know today she's all over the map.
Yes.
So don't email me. I don't have the answers for you. A lot of people are still emailing me, and you need to email her.
It's at the top of the screen. If
right
you
at the top of the screen. For more information, email Miss Helen at IITW Radio Rebuild at gmail.com. Did they have to keep the capitals and stuff the way it is?
No. That was just to distinguish so people can see.
Okay, so
letters.
it's all lowercase?
Yes. It was just so they can see it. It doesn't matter if you type it in lowercase or uppercase. It will all automatically generate.
She said she did send her an email.
Thank you kindly.
Okay. Now, with that being said, we're going to get out of here. I've got to get this young lady to her house. Her parents are probably going to shoot me. She was hanging out with us. Evening. Here, you want to know
Her
strawberry?
mom called a couple times.
Here, you want to know strawberry?
Are you bribing her?
You like these, don't you? Yep, she loves them. Matt and Luann, you guys and gals need to get over there and get strawberries before they're gone.
Yeah, this little one's not going to leave any for y'all.
So anyways, I want to thank you guys and gals for listening tonight and watching. And, you know, we do this to try to help out the community and to help out different events and organizations, Women's Battered Shelter, you know, Little League, whoever it is, our volunteer firefighters. And it's only because of you that you make this station and the Putman Way possible. You can check us out. Tammy has stuff going up on the Putman Way every day, probably every hour. You can check that out at the THE Putman PUTNAM Way WAY on Facebook, and check us out. Let's see, Laura P didn't added her story. Not on this station, you didn't, girl. That just popped up on my personal Facebook screen. That's my sister. Helen. Miss Helen said she'll go through the
Twitter.
emails tonight.
IITWradio.com, IITW Radio Facebook. We're all over, y'all. Instagram.
Yeah. So you can check us out any place. Hit the like button on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. That way we know you're out there. Joey, you just joined and we're getting out of here. You're going to have to go back and catch it on the flip-flop. We will be back here Monday night. At what time are we going to start Monday night?
Monday will be 7:30 to 8:30.
7:30 to 8:30.
Tonight we ran over, guys, because there was a lot to cover with the firefighter, and then there was just a little bit to touch on with Fort Gates. And next week we'll have a whole bunch more with Fort Gates Ferry.
You're going to start seeing these pop up all over the place too.
Yes,
Save
please sign.
Fort Gates. If you sign these petitions, these are going to go up to Tallahassee. I want to personally take these up and give them to the governor, Mr. DeSantis. I want to put those in his hands and let him see that, you know, the county, the state needs help. Fort Gates needs help. We need to get this piece of history and save it before it's gone. So with that being said, I'm going to get out of here. I want to thank all of our volunteer firefighters for everything you guys and gals do. God, we love you so much. For our first responders, To the 5 officers that were shot today, our hearts and prayers go out with you. More importantly, to the 5 families that lost their lives today. The people and their families lost their lives today. Our hearts and prayers go out with you.
Yes.
God bless you. You know, it sucks, and there are idiots in the world. So I want to thank you guys and gals for listening. Be kind to your local police department, law enforcement, sheriff's office, your first responders. More importantly than that, you see a veteran, walk up and shake their hand and tell them thank you for their service. You see a young man in his fatigues at Walmart or out at the street, or wherever they're at, walk up and thank them for their service. To all you veterans, thank you so much for your service. What do we got? Miss Ellen Hayes?
She said she'd go through the emails tonight.
Yeah, I already said that.
I'm sorry. We didn't catch
She said she was going to go through the emails
it. We
tonight.
didn't catch it. I'm sorry.
So anyways, I got to get out of here. I got to get this young lady home before her mom and daddy kill me. I'm out. This is, who do we got closed now? Kurt Fortmeyer.
Yes, Snuggling with My Demons.
Snuggling with My Demons.
We got
This
some
is a
new artists
kickback.
next week on our show, so make sure y'all listen to them. Check
Yeah,
them
this
out.
is a kickback song.
On our
Also,
app.
I'm going to have the young lady in here, Erin, who is in charge of a lot of the Blue Crab Festival.
Yes.
Also, we're going to have, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Zach, who is with the Florida Highway Patrol. And he was in an accident. Zach, I hope you're feeling better. And I got to give out my shout outs to Mama B. Everybody that's listening tonight. I think I covered everybody's names. I hope, God, I hope. If I didn't, I'm very sorry. Tell me Monday about it, and I'll make it right. To Annette and Audrey, Tammy, who was on, my partner in crime, who was on early with us tonight with the firefighters. To our 2 guests that didn't show up, you missed it. And
Y'all have a great night.
who else do we have to give shout outs to? You want to give a shout out to your brothers and sisters? Tell them what their names are real quick. Could you tell them? You got 5.
What's
Yep.
one of them? Who's the little itty bitty one that looks just like you?
Who's the one? Dennis the Menace?
What's his name? Go ahead. Nathan?
Okay, at least you can say goodnight, right? She's too shy. All right, guys and gals, we got to get out of here. Good night. We love you, and we'll just see you later
Good night,
Monday night.
y'all.
I'd been that good guy way too long, followed every rule, holding back instead of acting like a full-grown fool. When bad intentions came to call, I firmly stood my ground, till one day I said, screw it all, and I turned my life around. Yeah, I told my better angels they could go piss up a rope, not come back unless they brought a sack of killer dope. I'm smoking packs of cigarettes and drinking quarts of beer, snuggling with my demons, and I kinda like it here. Now everything that's bad for me becomes my comfort food, and from time to time I take a pill to elevate my mood. I'm coveting my neighbor's ass and things that I can't have. I bathe myself in misery like it's medicated sad. Since I told my better angels they could go piss up a rope, not come back unless they brought a sack of killer dope. I'm smoking packs of cigarettes and drinking quarts of beer, snuggling with my demons, and I kinda like it here.
struggling with my